You're waiting.
The YouTube slide.
Exactly right.
And the treasury report are now hard copies are in the packet, we
Well,
just didn't have
when
them
you're opening
whenever
it, May,
the agenda was emailed out to you. So that's the
There's a, an official
Other things in it.
yes,
seating
the
arrangement
expenses and
for people.
just for the reports for financial.
I'm in my assigned spot.
When everybody says Trump's sort of.
Yeah, I forget that.
You said something on
Vice
it.
Chair sits to the left and right of the chair.
I think it's to the right. That's what it says here.
Well, you're right on mine.
Well, his right. Turn around. You're right.
It's like, where's the flag? On the left side of the room.
is it what update? I'm not asking for the time to change.
But it's your right side.
Right side.
That's really a paper exercise. I mean, I looked at it, yeah, but I was like, wait, you know, you're gonna have 20
Oh,
years to come based upon the salaries. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you might even earlier. No, you need that base flow. That's right. So good. Yeah, you know, it's kind of weird. It's been really busy, and all of a sudden, the last 2 weeks, like, it's just still, you know, one night, 2 or 3 a week. All of a sudden, I don't have to during the day, as I had weeks before. Now, part of that was I was doing a big transactions for a while, so it's been all that kind of going, all the way down. So I think that's a little bit of it, but it's just, it comes in waves, right? It just, and it depends on what it is. Sometimes all the meetings, the hearings, the tests, and all the transactions, right? And then other times it's bits and pieces. And right now, it seems to be bits and pieces, like I got plenty of applications in, plenty of plenty stuff, plenty of meetings scheduled, like all the way through May and everything. Hey, and in the end, it's like, all right, just go. Good to see you.
Good for you.
And try not to freak out about it, because you get a condition on this. And your flip books and everything.
Yeah, I brought a trash bag from the last 2 years and gave them back to him. That's more. Recycle.
No, good. Just check. All right.
What do you got for me,
Mr. Road?
Oh, always good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you.
You don't have enough things coming online. What's that? And that's like a really short call. I remember on the crash in 2008. lifestyle villages, mixed use, we've got the residential and so if there's, and then yeah, and then I do a lot of warehouse.
You're planning to be there for a while. You have a sandwich in there?
Stay hydrated.
Oh, Wawa stuff?
My preference is tuna.
From Wawa? Chief, are you a Wawa guy? Yeah.
I'm from Jersey.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah. Wait, north, south, central,
North?
south?
Central.
Which area?
They call that south now. Ocean County.
Oh, that's southern Jersey.
That's what they call it now.
It's one armpit of the two. Yeah, there is. There's no central anymore, it's always north and south Jersey. My parents are from right over the wall, like Flemington, New Jersey, so.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, not.
Well.
My issue is it's in the attachment.
Folks, for those who are new tonight, we are live streaming on YouTube. So we are live throughout the meeting. We'll look at it probably next month. Sometimes you let people, wait till the resident. I don't really need a head They opened up, she got back to me, and she goes, we'll take as many people as fit. Oh, he asked me.
Jan's actually called in today. He didn't, he said, oh, yeah, I said, I know you're a wealth of knowledge. You have the right things to say, maybe feel free to jump back. When I was talking to him, he texted me back, he goes, I'm clear, I'll be there. This is the right thing.
You got 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, because I saw that, because actually in my phone, I sent it over. So, yeah, my phone's in the. Is it 2 and P? We'll do the April 10th Board of Supervisor workshop meeting to order at 7 o'clock with the pledge of allegiance and moment of silence for all military personnel. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, Mrs. Joy. Present. Mr. Rhodes.
President.
Mr. Gallo.
Present.
Mr. Butler.
Here.
And I'm here. All right, we got citizens' concerns. Anyone here for any concerns this evening? If not, we can go to correspondence. In our packet, you see the church is sick tonight, you see the letter from the Teamsters Union. For review. And then we have the bulletin, PSAT's news bulletin, PSAT's grassroots advocacy network, PSAT's 2025 education conference exhibit show, information there. And the, I'll show you the one. Yeah, so there's all that there for the. All right. Keep moving.
Good evening, board. First thing I have on the list is an update on the building maintenance paving issue. I actually asked Dan if he could come here to be able to better explain it to you. Dan, can you stand up?
Sure.
Dan Hall from Paul Penn.
So, we were contracted to paint the exterior of the building, so it included the power washing, the cleaning it. We were gonna do some patch repair and then painting the top parts, the bottom parts, the doors, get it all done, make it look really good. We got the cleaning done. If you remember before we cleaned it, how dirty it was. You couldn't see the building, it was dirty. So we cleaned it, we started painting the top area. As I was inspecting the exterior of it, I came to realize this is more than just a patch and paint. The problem is the Drive-It, which is I'll call it the gritty material on the exterior of the building. You can walk around the building, you're probably gonna see more mesh than you see Drive-It. I mean, that's an exaggeration. But there's so much mesh exposed that I'm gonna guess, I don't know this, but I'm gonna guess it's probably never been painted. It's probably original Drive-It and it comes in colors. I'm gonna guess it has never been painted or any kind of a sealer put on it. So to this point, I told Chief Ringman, I said, we really don't have the option to paint the way we would normally paint this, if we were gonna paint it, because of the situation with the Drive-It exterior just falling off. I brought my Sherwin-Williams rep and my store manager out here the other day just to kind of walk it with me. So, I had some ideas in my mind of what could be a short, temporary, resolution, not a long-term thing. The best thing to do, in my opinion, is just to get it all resurfaced with Drive-It. I don't do that. I'm not a Drive-It specialist. That's not what I do. I can repair it, but I don't put it on.
Isn't
You have
it
a question?
just, yeah, it's the same thing as putting my chimney together with stucco, theoretically.
You could say theoretically, yes, but it's a little more than that. I mean, the way Drive It works is you have about an inch piece of styrofoam.
Mhm.
Then I'll call it, you put a glue, I'll call it that. Then you put a piece of mesh on top of that, and then you put the Drive It on top of that, okay? It's a process, okay? What we were hired to do was, do some repairs of the holes and stuff like that, and then, do the painting. It's more than that.
You never know what you're getting into till you
Until
get
you
into
wash it and get into
You have
it.
to get into it.
Once
to
we
figure it
washed
out.
it, we realized it just went way beyond that. So our suggestion is to have somebody look at the cost of dry fitting the whole thing. Unfortunately, I would lose out because I don't make money doing that. So as a citizen, and my thing is, let's do it right. Now, if you're saying, we're gonna move out of this building in 5 years, 10 years, we don't care what happens. We do have a possible solution, but it's not something I can guarantee. I talked to the Sherwin-Williams people to have them come out just to look at the process. We think it'll do a good job, but it changes the whole scope of it. It changes the kind of paint we would use. The paint we would use would go from being a Drive-It paint to a Lox-On paint, which is more of a masonry paint, which is a waterproofing paint. You have a question?
Yeah, okay, from your perspective, doing something short term, we're just putting a Band-Aid on it.
That's
And-
exactly
and
what this
I
is,
don't
this is
mean
a
this rude,
Band-Aid.
but there's been enough Band-Aids put on things over
I
the
agree.
years, which is why we're sitting where we're sitting now, like with this.
I agree 100%.
So, I don't see us moving out of this because you've got enough space that we own that you could always extend it if we needed to down the road.
Okay,
So why not take care of what you have?
I
Did you
agree.
come up with prices on what we're looking at?
I can't do
Well, he
that.
doesn't do that.
I don't
No,
do
but-
that.
No, but I meant, did you reach out to anybody?
No, I did not, because I'm not gonna go through all that,
Aggravation?
hassle and aggravation, and you guys don't wanna have that done. So I think that's your responsibility to do it, not mine.
Right, but in your honest
To
opinion,
you at this
In my
point,
opinion,
long-term's better.
oh, absolutely, 100%.
well, what's everybody,
Do you recommend someone that you've worked with before?
Not that does Drive It necessarily, I would just go down to the supply house down there, and they'll give you the best options to do that. I mean, I can give some names and things like that, but where I got the supplies, they have people who do that all the time. They're right down the road on 422, and I would think they would be the best option. If you need to find, if someone here doesn't know of anybody, that's what I would do if it was me.
What supply house do you use?
What is
What
what?
supply house do you use?
Yeah, we're asking,
Where
where
does
do you
Supply
get it?
house on
Supply house.
422.
Manning Supplies, hold on. I do have the business card right here.
Manning supplies is
Manning Supply, Manning Materials is what it is.
Okay,
And I talked to their sales rep, John Rome. I can give you his business card if you want. If someone wants his business card, I can give it to them.
we can get, as long as you gave us a name.
But it's Manning Materials, they're right down there on 422. Going down
we
towards.
can always look into it and do the pricing, right?
Yeah.
But that's what I do, because they are a Drive It material supplier. They're dealing with Drive It people all the time. Now,
Did I get that from him, right? Did I get that from?
Yeah.
before, because my thing would just be a temporary solve, and I don't think that's a good idea.
You're all right for looking at, everybody all right?
Oh, yeah.
Looking for prices?
Yeah, I was gonna say, go
All
for
right,
it.
well, then, if you can get the stuff to Chief Rumby, so he can reach out.
Yeah,
I'll
it
take
makes,
care of that for you.
makes more sense long-term than short-term.
I agree.
Band-Aids fall off too easily.
Yes, I do.
So at this point, are you agreeing to stop work? Is that what the board?
I figure, we need to figure out, somehow, I mean, where we're at right now, it doesn't make sense for me to patch it if they're gonna repair it, if they're gonna rip it out, we don't know what they would suggest do. So, I think we probably need to come up with how much I'm owed for what we've done, and then we'll go from there, and then I think it'd be a losing business, but it's the right thing to do.
Okay.
That's appreciated.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, board, next thing I have on my agenda is discuss the Teamsters MOU for the police administrative assistant. The Teamsters sent over, I believe it was in March, an MOU drafted, just that she would be able to be part of the Teamsters 429. Obviously, being part of a union, you need to get some job security, you get protection from unfair treatment, you get access to fair wages and benefits, you get protection from workers' rights, you get representation in grievance and disciplinary issues. If the board has a chance to look at that and think about it. It is something that a lot of other departments provide for their employees.
Now, Colin, I have a question for you. Would this be something that, for under contract negotiations would be introduced, or do that separately? Because that's, we're teachers right this year, I believe, right?
I'm sorry, does this discussion concern the potential inclusion of the administrative assistant
Yes.
into the union?
No, not the administrative assistant, his assistant.
Right.
And historically, we haven't had an assistant that's been in the union, to my knowledge.
Sometimes that's
I
a
believe they
lot of a
were, but I
problem.
believe it was taken out when
Yes.
Colleen went to, the township manager.
You're
position
exactly
in
correct.
2018.
You are exactly correct, that's exactly what happened. Which is why it's a very important reason to protect the employees that work for you and that work for us.
I went through both contracts, there's not really too much difference. In the Teamsters contract, I believe they get an extra bereavement day for the,
So essentially, we would be expanding the existing bargaining unit to include your administrative assistant,
Right.
as opposed to that person being potentially in another union?
no,
No, there isn't
no,
one.
there's no other unit.
This is the only union.
Correct. Which all of them should be protected in, but Chief Kirby's looking at protecting his, which I think is to his benefit.
If the employee wants to be part of the union,
They have that right.
I don't know if we could stop them. They don't necessarily have to be part of this union.
Which union? The teams, we're talking about Teamsters union.
Right.
That's the union that they would fall under.
Being municipal, they have to fall under.
Why can't we negotiate that as part of the next contract?
Well, that's what my question was. Should that be done with the new contract, which I think is up this year, or should it be negotiated this year? Should that be part of it, or?
So the way, my understanding is when I talked to the gentleman from the Teamsters, the representative, pretty much already states that she can be able to be in the union, all she has to do is request it. That is not a bargaining issue. We were just asking to sign the MOU to make clarification clear that she's able to be part of it.
That she has the right to request it and be granted it.
Right.
Which technically, according to the law, she already has that right.
Right.
Yeah.
All we're doing is saying, we understand that.
What, Mr. Blair, why are you shaking your head?
I'm just
He doesn't.
not, I haven't had time to think about that at any length, and I'm not in favor of that, at least tonight.
Well, that was brought up at the last meeting, Mr. Bittler, if you remember correctly. Maybe you could go back and watch the rest of it.
What about just from Scott?
What's your thoughts?
No, what thoughts? What do you got
You don't have thoughts. I said I have a lot of thoughts, but what do you got?
about this?
Yeah, really.
Go ahead, Harold.
Chris, did anybody review as to why we took all the administrative positions out of the union?
I did, and I would say that all the statements that were made by Colleen were not truthful.
Well, Colleen didn't make those statements.
She has an affidavit, a signed affidavit that she did make it, yes.
Can that be shared with the board? That was
Did
negotiated
you give that to the board?
with the union.
I would imagine the board has it.
Well, I mean, Colleen's not been here for how long, and she's not been managed for how long. If you have something that can shed light, why wouldn't you share it with the board?
It wasn't me that who shared it, they shared it with me. The Teamsters and the township
So
manager shared it
can-
with me, so I took it that you guys already had it.
Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt to ask, and, I mean, if you could say that to me tomorrow, I'd be great.
No, send it to all of us, Mr.
Yeah, that's what I
Bittler.
mean.
Not
All
to
of
you,
us.
to all of us.
All of us, sure. Send it tomorrow, and we'll talk about it Tuesday.
Well, make sure you review it promptly, please.
You telling me, are you telling me what to do, Ms. Bridenstine? Is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm telling
if
you
you
that you
just-
looked at it already, and we were told this.
This first and foremost involves personnel. I gave you advice on my thoughts about this issue during executive session last month. And then moreover, it may arguably concern, collective bargaining negotiations. So I prefer to have this discussion during executive session.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, next I want to read a brief synopsis of Officer Ketter's interaction with Birdsboro Police Department. So on March 22nd, around 2200 hours, Officer Ketter was dispatched to assist Birdsboro Police Department with a domestic situation. Upon arrival, Officer Ketter stood outside while Birdsboro officers entered the residence. Upon entering, the situation quickly escalated and the Birdsboro officers were in immediate danger. The male began assaulting the officers and were struggling to control the suspect, who was resisting with intense force. Officer Ketter immediately assessed the threat without hesitation. He rushed into the residence, assisted the Birdsboro officers who were in a life-threatening struggle at that point. Together, the officers worked together to subdue the suspect, who continued to fight aggressively. Once Officer Ketter was able to get the male handcuffed, and he ensured that the suspects was successfully detained and prevented further harm to Birdsboro officers or anyone else. Once the male was detained, Officer Ketter realized the house was deliberately set on fire as well. Without hesitation, Officer Ketter sprinted back to his patrol car, grabbed his fire extinguisher, raced back into the burning residence, and with the assistance of the Birdsboro Police Department, went to work and extinguished the flames. After that, Officer Ketter assumed control of the entire scene because both officers were hurt at that point and had to be taken to the hospital. So Officer Ketter, in my opinion, demonstrated exceptional leadership, teamwork, bravery in the face of significant danger during a critical moment, ensuring the safety of both fellow officers and maintaining control of the situation. Officer Ketter is an outstanding officer here. There are so many things. I would imagine that you'll probably see an award come up for this soon. I don't know if it would be from Robeson Township or if it's going to be from Birdsboro or the FOP, but he's a fantastic officer. He's a young officer. He stayed with Robeson Township because of the MOU that Chief Castle got to sign, that retained or recruit retained MOU. So in my opinion, MOUs sometimes are beneficial. So I just wanted to let everybody know the bravery that he had and the things that he did in Birdsboro.
Now, with the award, what would it be, what's the title of it?
So that, I don't know what they'll give for that. It's gonna probably be a combination of things.
I think it doesn't matter who, it should come from all, in my opinion.
I just don't know if we're gonna do it like here, Birdsboro wants to do it now.
We as the board
Or
deserve.
FOP will actually wants to do it at the board meeting, but he's gonna be getting.
Okay, well, just keep us informed then, for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's
Do
pretty
you
impressive.
wanna add yesterday morning at all?
So also yesterday morning, I'm sure everybody's seen the news release, Officer Ketter was working again. He was very diligently, he does a lot of business and property checks. He does a fantastic job at it. And while doing his job and doing a business check, he was alerted by the smell of smoke. Now everybody knows it was very windy yesterday. Took him a little bit to figure it out. Once he figured it out, it was uncovered that we had a structure fire. And then a very tragic structure fire at that point. So, another great job by Officer.
And he did everything in his power to alert occupants. State Police Fire Marshal said the same thing.
Yeah, he did a
He reviewed the
fantastic
body
job.
cam footage and said there's nothing more he could have done. So,
That was where they died at the door, correct? Yeah, okay, that's good.
So we have an outstanding officer on that. Absolutely. And the last thing I have, Board, is the correspondence from Hay Creek Valley Historical Association requesting the closure of Hay Creek Road, or Furnace Road. They would like to close it from Route 10 to Oak Grove Road.
It's the same as always, correct?
No, in the past, well, kind of, in the past, they did it from Weaver Road to Route 10. Now they're just doing it to Oak Grove because of the new Oak Grove development.
Okay.
It's gonna be, the Hay Creek Festival dates are September 5th through the 7th from 8 to 5. The Hay Creek Apple Festival is October 11th and 12th from 7 to 5. And then Christmas at Joanna from December 5th through the 7th from 4 to 9. And you guys should also have a resolution if you would agree to approve that.
Anybody have a problem?
Paula, do you know what
Do
the
you know the-
resolution of?
yeah,
the
Yes, I have a sheet there, if it goes through, it'll be 25-10.
Well, I'd like to make the resolution that 25-10, what is it called?
2025-10.
Dash 10.
Closure of Furnace Road for
That's for the closure of Furnace Road for Hay Creek Valley Historical Association on the dates that Jason listed.
Anyone make a second for that? To approve resolution 25?
I'll second the motion.
All right, roll call. Mr. Jones? Yes. Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Mr. Gallow?
Yes.
Mr. Bitler?
Yes.
I vote yes.
Thank you, board, that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
All right, thank you. Our packets, the expenses treasury report, consideration report to review for Tuesday, since Rich is sick. If everybody reviewed the intergovernmental resolution for with Union and Brecknock Township regarding joint ventures, anybody have any concerns with that resolution? Since it's the same one we did.
It has to say we've been doing that for a while, and it's worked, and we haven't had problems.
No concerns from me.
Me neither.
Would anyone like to make the resolution to approve, adopt resolution 25-11?
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution 25-11 for the intergovernmental resolution with Union and Brecknock Township.
I will second that.
Roll call, Mrs. Joy.
Yes.
Mr. Rose.
Yes.
Mr. Gallow.
Yes.
Mr. Bitler.
I vote yes.
I vote yes. All right, now, on the agenda next is the decision on order, which we don't have. I think we keep not pointing one. I know unfortunately we only had one person that was interested. Maybe at some point it's time to just do it. Because we can't wait too much longer since we're.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to make a motion to appoint the auditor as, I don't remember the name of that auditor actually. Since it's
Well,
probably
wait till Tuesday, and
I mean, if you can wait till Tuesday, we get all the information and whatever the name and.
Yeah, let's do it Tuesday.
And then we'll hold off on C. And I guess I'll remind everybody, if you haven't handed in your Ethics Commission 2025 Statements of Financial Interest, that's due by May 4th. And anyone have any comments on the Supervisor's report?
Nothing new from me.
well, working on the newsletter part of it, that's a little more priority.
Anything from you, Supervisor Bitler?
Okay.
All right, fire companies will be Tuesday. I want to make minutes reports for Tuesday. All right, we got Ryan.
Good evening, board. The first two items under my report deal with the paving contract and the maintenance contract. Barry and I will be opening bids tomorrow, so I intend to have a bid tabulation and recommendation for you as your regular meeting. Item D, I think, is also covered under the Public Works report, but I will briefly introduce for you. We worked with and obtained quotes from 3 separate guide rail contractors. This is for Mounts Road, a road that we did some stormwater repairs on and paved last year. And there was a section of guide rail. This is in the area of the Hersler Farm.
Okay.
And we were looking to have that section replaced on either side of the road. We worked with 3 guide rail contractors and obtained written quotes. They are within my report. The low bidder on that was Collinson Incorporated for $11,983.80. You'll see 2 separate prices. The way that we bid this was the first bid, essentially the base bid, was with the contractor providing traffic control and removal of the existing guide rail. And then we sort of bid an alternate and got prices for the same scope of work. However, the township forces will remove the guide rail and perform traffic control. So the low bid is from Collinson, and they are asking that the township do that work in advance of them showing up and then coordinate traffic control with them. So I think Barry has a request to award that in his section.
I do, and just to echo Ryan, the traffic control is kind of very simple. It's a pretty quick, easy detour, so we'd be asking just to close down Hopewell Road, direct traffic down Klein to Red Hill to Cold Run and around. And as far as us removing the guardrail, it's not even a day's worth of work, to be honest with you. And like I say, as Ryan had said, it saves the township quite a bit of money, so.
And I'm sure it's more than your salary for the day. So, makes sense.
So again, Barry has that request under his section of the report. Zion Road Culvert, we have that project specification prepared. I will be seeking authorization to advertise that project, and we can advertise as early as April 17, in hopes to have proposals for your main meeting. So it's up to you. I don't know if you want to authorize that tonight or think about it till the regular meeting. Board's discretion.
Well, we'll be hitting it before the 17th.
Well,
But there's
Either-
no reason we can't do it, yeah.
I'm prepared either way.
you want a motion first to advertise your place prepared, total bid amount $56,311.25. That's
Correct.
you would like to make that motion to approve the advertisement for Design Road Culvert Replacement.
Sure, Ryan. We'll make your request for that, for the Hope Over Guideway. Sorry.
This is Zion Road Culvert.
Yeah, I know my fingers at the wrong place, and I didn't put my glasses back on, which doesn't help. The Zion Road Culvert, and it's going, report, it's going to Collinson,
Nope,
This is
this,
just for-
just to advertise for
just, you just
the-
wanna advertise
Yep,
for 5,600,
56,000.
1,311, and what?
That was just my.
$56,311.25.
Okay, that's what, not 25.
Alright, so you made a motion to approve the advertising Design Road
Yes.
Culvert Replacement. Alright, do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Roll call, Mrs. Joy,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes,
Yes.
Mr. Gallow,
Yes.
Mr. Bitler,
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
Okay, the next item, the Green Hills Estate subdivision. I know there's been a number of requests into the township, one of which is going through Joe and Collins' office regarding the sewer situation. We also received a request for escrow release. I have been out there. There is a significant amount of work that has been completed, primarily with the second entrance on top of the hill. So if we were to move forward with a release, that would be the lion's share of the work. So at this point, I guess I'm requesting of the board, do you want me to have that ready for you at next month's meeting, or would you rather deal with the sewer situation first, and me then bring this escrow release back?
Deal with the sewer.
Sewer first.
Yeah, I would say
Sewer
sewer
first, not
Okay.
trusting, sorry.
That's where I thought we were going, that's why I asked the question.
What, you mean you weren't gonna trust it? You already knew that?
Okay. The next item is a zoning change request regarding Grande Cedar Hill property. My understanding was that this was to be discussed at your regular meeting. I think that Rich just added it under my section of the agenda. So that's just an update for the board, unless anybody else wants to speak to that. I know that you guys are here this evening.
Yes,
Okay.
but I can't speak about the escrow release though,
No.
just about the sewer.
Just, no, okay.
Not
So-
Grande, no.
Oh, not Grande, so you
No.
were here for,
Just about the sewer for Green.
okay, so that's later on the agenda. And similarly, there is a request out to Colin's office regarding rezoning. I've sort of been at the periphery, on the periphery of that. I do have some concerns when that comes up.
Be interested in that too.
It's difficult for me to tell from what's been requested, and maybe we'll get into this later tonight or at your regular meeting. The properties that they're requesting to be rezoned, in my mind, might serve as a bit of a buffer for some of our residential properties, against the quarry itself. But I don't know the specifics of that, so I'm looking forward to hearing more about that.
Interesting.
That's all I have for you, unless you have questions within my report. Oh, one other item I passed out to the board. There's a memorandum that was provided through LTAP. If you recall, several months back, we had agreed to look into the Mounts Road, Hay Creek Road intersection. This was provided through LTAP, again, free of charge, a service to the township from PennDOT. I have not been able to go through this in any great detail yet, just given the time of year with getting street work projects out. But it's been sitting in my inbox and I wanted to get it to you. So read through it. In the next month or two, I will cover it in my report and we will look to move forward from there. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Ryan? All right, Colin.
Good evening, board members. A couple quick updates for you pertaining to Pam's contract. We're awaiting feedback from the authority, which will occur after their meeting on April 21st. Ryan touched upon the quarry rezoning request and pertaining to the Green Hills Pump and Hall Amendment, the Buck Hollow Road Agreement, and the M3 conditional use decision. All of those documents are in draft form for your review with potential action at the general business meeting next week.
And I'm happy to talk about the Greenhouse Pump and Hall Amendment if the board would like. I'm Greg Edelman here on behalf of Ryan Homes. I'm not representing the underlying developer, I'm not representing the builder. As this board knows, you approved a pump and haul for this project, and DEP approved it in August, I think August 7th. That permits 22 homes to be connected while the treatment plant is being constructed. That pump and haul runs for a period of 8 months from the date the first home is occupied and connected to the sewer system. So the model was connected in January 23rd. So the pump and haul currently would run conservatively to end of September 23rd. At this time, we believe the treatment plant will be constructed and operational before that time. What we're here to ask the board to consider is an expansion of the number of homes that can be connected as a paper exercise. We are not looking for an extension of the time. We're looking for that September date to still stay in place. The current status on the treatment plant is that the walls of the pump station for the sewer system have been completed. The trusses have been delivered to the site. They're going to be installed next week along with the roof. The control building is under construction. The control panel for the wastewater treatment system has been delivered, and there's additional items from the manufacturer, and that the installer will be installing them as soon as the roof is on the building. Handrails and grading are going to be delivered on the 14th. The blowers for the wastewater treatment system will be delivered on May 1st, and the tanks are scheduled to be delivered May 30th. This is all coming from the manufacturer, so everything is in fabrication, everything is moving forward. Based upon all of this and the installer MGK's schedule, we're anticipating the treatment plant will be completed in August. So we'll be either operational by the end of August or into September. So what we're looking the board to agree to is to permit 40 homes to be connected to pump and haul, not the 22, because Ryan's sales have outpaced where we thought they would be. The construction is still in line with what was anticipated in the original pump and haul amendment. So we have 22 units already sold, 15 are under construction. In terms of actual occupancy and settlements, we're anticipating 3 settlements in May, 5 in June, 4 in July, 5 in August, and 4 in September. That would be 21.
That's 22 counting the model.
22 counting the model home. So the 22 number, if you remember, is the magic number for the minimum flow necessary to turn the plant on. So the plant will be constructed before that 22nd home is actually occupied, and then DEP has to come out and authorize the startup of the plant. What Ryan would like is the ability for the pump and haul to allow 40 units, so that as Ryan continues to sell and enter into these agreements of sale, they can make the representation that sewer is available. We don't anticipate ever having to use pump and haul for the additional 18 units, but we don't feel comfortable selling units without being able to make the representation. So we're not looking for an extension of the time. We're saying September is where we were from before, that's not changing. We're just looking at the ability to enter into these agreement of sales with new homeowners and say, sewer is available. If the plant isn't done by September, everyone has to come back to you and explain why, because then the pump and haul stops. So even if we have a sale and the house is being constructed, if plant's not done and operational in September, we're gonna have an issue. But right now, we would have the ability, if we had it up to 40, to be able to make the representation in the agreement that sewer is available.
Because you wouldn't be able to have occupancy.
Well, that's correct.
That's the bottom line. You couldn't have occupancy
That's right.
unless.
We don't anticipate even being able to have the home constructed in time to do it by the end of September anyway. So that's why I'm saying this is all a paper exercise. And it doesn't give us the ability to push out that pump and haul time period without having to come back to the board. All we're asking for is that 22 number to change to 40. Now, in order to do that, we've submitted a pump and haul application amendment. In the amendment, it talks about the additional apparatus that would need to come out onto the site, which is additional frac tanks to provide additional pump and haul storage, the locations where they go, how that works, and then also the decommissioning of those apparatus. We don't believe that'll ever happen or be necessary, because it's our belief, based upon where we are with the treatment plant schedule, where we are with the construction schedule, that that plant will be operational. So again, this is really for paper exercise only, so that Ryan Homes is comfortable entering into additional agreements of sale. And then Ryan makes that call that if something happens with the treatment plant construction, whether they start construction on those additional homes, they'll be able to determine, hey, if I'm gonna be stuck here mid-construction and all of a sudden something's happening with the treatment plant that's not right, then I'm gonna have a problem delivering. So that, they take that risk, but they wanna be able to at least sign the agreement now with prospective purchasers so they can make that representation. So that's really what this is all about. We're just asking for the amendment to change the number from 22 to 40 and to reflect the additional apparatus that we would need to install on site, which are the temporary frac tanks for the additional pump and haul storage if it was ever necessary.
What if we said, okay, we agree to the 40, but they can't have occupancy until your treatment plant's completed? I know you're saying you don't expect it, but expect the unexpected.
Well, we have the schedule set out that we'll have the treatment plant operational. So I don't think it makes a difference, meaning once you get 22, we already have the 22. Those 22 can all be occupied.
Correct.
They're all going to be occupied. That's when the treatment plant turns on. So that's really what we're looking at here. The other 18, like I said, is really paper. If I get 22 up quicker, I can turn the plant on quicker. I mean, that's really what we get into, is minimum base flow. Typically when you do these pump and hauls, you're just doing it for the minimum amount of units necessary to turn on the system, whether it's a pump station or a treatment plant. That's why we did 22 at the beginning. We're happy to report that the sales have been successful. We're happy to report that this stuff's actually finally getting done after all these years.
So you're up to 22 handling the model home, but are you, what about how many more are pending?
Oh, we don't have anything pending. We stopped selling. Once we hit the 22nd in February, we stopped selling. If you go onto the website right now for Ryan Homes Green Hills, it'll say 404 under construction, because they stopped marketing because of this reason. So, that's why we're asking for this ability so that we can start marketing it. So if you think about that, if you started marketing and then you got them under sale, it's gonna take X time before you can even get to starting construction. And then it'll take, how long does it take for your homes to be built?
4 months.
4 months. So, we're in April now, we're anticipating the treatment plant's gonna be up and operational in August, minimum base flow by August to September. So, I mean, we're actually, I don't have any wood to knock on, but this is actually working, which was a very optimistic viewpoint from my standpoint. I wouldn't have been able to tell you that 6 to 8 months ago. But we've been on calls with the manufacturer, we've been on calls with the installer, and they're all moving. Everything's being built and installed. So it's really a positive outcome from what I know has otherwise been a very difficult and frustrating process to get it here. But
So what happens if we say yes, but the 40 doesn't happen for 40 more years?
Yeah, so that's it. So then at that point, you have financial security for the plant to be finished. If somehow the underlying developer disappears, the money's there to finish it. But I can tell you everything's already ordered.
Well, I say, say the plan's done by your September or whatever, but say you don't sell your 40 until.
It doesn't matter, as long as there's 22, the plant goes on. And we've got 22 already, and 15 are under construction. So,
all be done by then anyway.
I'm thinking about the what ifs, right?
Oh, yeah.
The what ifs, because
Murphy's Law.
this project's been a big what if for many years. This is the one time I can tell you that I don't see the what ifs. I see everything actually working, which is
I live on the other side of your hill.
Yeah.
Okay, so everything Murphy's Law just happens to.
Yeah, I know. So we don't expect the 40th home to be on pump and haul. We don't expect the 23rd home to be on pump and haul. We expect the 23rd to be running into the sewer plant. And even, and Ryan might tell you, even times when you get close on 20 or 21, sometimes they just put a hose in. They add a little extra flow to turn it on. So it doesn't always hit that 20-second home, sometimes it's a little earlier. But so far, everything's moving along.
Has the authority engineer weighed in on this at all?
No,
I don't think so.
there hasn't been an email from him.
And yeah, we submitted this a couple weeks ago. You know, we're gonna go to the authority meeting as well. But we would like the board to consider it. We think everything's in line to be able to ask for it at this point, so.
The municipal authority doesn't meet until 2 Mondays,
Right, yeah.
which then would put this until May, for us, if we wait for the municipal authority.
Aren't we willing to get their input?
I would really like his input on this, yeah.
I would think.
I'm not against putting what you want in writing, but let's
Well,
wait to hear from him.
If we could get it from the authority engineer, would that be sufficient? I mean, it's, as opposed to the board, it's just really.
Well, he's the guy watching this, right?
Right.
He's holding the purse strings the same way we are with the other infrastructure.
Right.
You know, they're the experts in this field, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's fine. We can get some input from the authority engineer so that this board is well informed as, and hopefully confirming what I'm telling you as well in terms of the construction status. But otherwise, I don't know if you have any other
I
questions.
mean, I don't have a problem with it. I just, you know, you gotta cover every angle,
I'm with you.
so
I'm with
we're
you.
gonna look at the authority on that. None of
And
us.
trust us when we tell you that as a home builder, we don't want our homes on pump and haul any longer than they need to. That is not a good thing. So getting that treatment plant up and running is a #1 priority for Ryan Homes as well. So,
Okay, so I guess we'll see what the authority says, then.
yeah, we'll get you the information as quickly as possible. We'd like to still stay on your board meeting if I can get you that information prior to.
For May?
No, well,
For
For
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
He's gonna try and get us the information in advance.
Harold has a question.
Yeah, I think the authority has to approve the pump and whole agreement first.
Yeah, and that's, it's 2 Mondays.
Right, so you guys can't approve anything on Tuesday because they don't meet this Monday.
Because the municipal authority is the third Monday of the month, which is,
We
since,
have to do
I
it.
got pushed.
Yeah, we have to go by,
so coming Tuesday for you, that's why I said
The
you want to be on the
municipal
agenda for
authority.
May, because Tuesday we'd say aye, that's about it.
We were included on some of those conversations, but one of the questions I had was, has DEP bought into this process?
DEP would not be able to review this until the township and the authority approve it first. And there's nothing for them to buy into other than the update of the status of the construction of the treatment plant. That's all DEP would be looking at. Since we're not asking for an extension of a time period, we're just talking about the change in the number. DEP typically only looks at minimum base flow, the total number of units. Outside of that, they're always concerned about where's the status of the construction of the plant. They look for the permanent solution to be installed. So, all right, we'll get you some information, and then we'll circle back, Colin, I'll circle back with you and Joan.
Sure.
And we'll go from there, and Ryan, if you have any questions from your end,
No,
let us know.
the discussion makes more sense to me now, right? But I think it's key that we hear what the authority engineer is seeing on the ground.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
So there's no reason for you to come Tuesday. You
That's
can
what
get
I'm
us all,
hearing.
you can give us all the information, get us the information, but
yeah,
no
but
reason
just
for you
like,
to be here.
once they have that meeting, they can send it to all of us,
that's right.
and that way everybody can look at it before the following meeting.
Yeah, we'll get it to you before then, and if there's any questions, because the authority engineer may not know everything in terms of the manufacturing process and the status. So we may want to have the authority engineer speak directly to the manufacturer as well.
Good
So
point.
that would be a possible other link for us to take care of before we come back to you as well. All right, thank you, we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good to see you. See you, Rick.
Hey, well, thanks, now, you're right.
Yeah. Have a good
Better
night,
understand
everybody.
it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, Mary's being
Yeah, anything else, Colin?
Nothing else.
Well, the only thing I have for the, M3 Expo thing, page 16, number 5. When it says we would discuss about applicant must have a backup power source for the security system, which is there, but there's an email that Jones sent that they actually agreed with different wording, that if it's approved by, I gotta find her email.
they need approval from DEP.
Yeah, and that's not in that
No.
agreement. So that verbiage needs to be put in there. Yeah, it was. Yeah, who's on the, but they want, yeah, I have to find it, but well, we can correct it by Tuesday. But they want, yeah, it's as per, it's approved by DEP, so
Yeah,
I forget exactly how it was.
That's simple enough.
That's the one thing that should be changed.
Thank you.
And it's one of the things in there. Yeah, actually, actually, this is the word verbiage I want, I found it. They asked that the backup generator be worded if allowed under federal and state regulations. Which is not how it's worded in the agreement. Okay, thank you. Barry.
Good evening, board. The paper that was jointly owned by Robeson and Robeson Township was sold on municipal bid. The ending bid was $35,400, which was substantially more than what we thought it was gonna bring. I was watching it from home and it was, a bidding war there at the end, which was obviously in our favor. The monies from that will offset the cost of the deck over trailer.
The trailer.
Yeah. As Ryan had mentioned in his report, I'm asking the board's approval, for the bid from Collinson's Incorporated for the guide rail installation on Hopewell Road. That cost is $11,983.80. This would come from line item 438001, that's for guide rail. Again, we would be doing a little bit of that work, to keep that cost down a little bit, so.
Alright, anyone like to make that motion to approve the bid from Collinson Incorporated for the guide rail on Hopewell Road at the cost of $11,183.80?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mrs. Joy,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes,
Yes.
Mr. Gall,
Yes.
Mr. Bitler,
Yes.
no, yes.
Right. Just real quick, Ryan, do you want me to reach out to them?
We can reach out to them.
Okay. Actually, we could probably do it tomorrow, we open bids.
Yep.
Alright. For item number, or for C, some people have seen the work on the salt sheds complete. It was in very need of
Dire need.
Of repair.
Yeah, of repair. I have several pictures anyway. That project has since been completed. I believe we'll get at least 5 to 6, if not a little bit longer, years out of service for that salt shed. I'm hoping once we're done with the street work bidding and all that stuff that Brian and I can sit down and maybe look at a salt shed for the White Bear Road facility, which would do two things. As we talked before, that will increase our capacity, and also cut down on travel time for us having to come all the way back here. It's going to,
Make a difference.
you don't realize it, but if you run out of salt all the way on Hopewell Road, it's a long haul back here.
It is.
And kind of the White Bear Road facility is the center of the township.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the reason why we put a little bit of work into that. It just made sense. And obviously, the other flip side of it was, it was ready to fall down. So, nonetheless. For D, bridge inspections were completed. Post-inspection meeting was held on the 3rd of April. Long story short, Gunhart Road Bridge is in bad shape. They knocked the rating down even further. I was in contact with, oh goodness, the farmer, the heck is his name, Ryan? just did all that.
Kevin.
Yes, Loffer, thank you. I talked to him, biggest concern was them running the milk tanker across that quite frequently. He had since spoken to the gentleman that picks up their milk. He's going to try to get them to go out 568, pretty much the same way they come in. Reason being is because the recommendation for the bridge is to knock that down to 15 ton. It's something that I believe the board should look at, and Brian can kind of echo on this, that it needs to be looked at pretty soon as far as getting that replaced. The rebar's starting to show on the top of the bridge, on the decking. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, the bridge inspections that happened all those years ago, and now we would assume, besides the ones that are getting fixed, Gunhart now is the worst one.
That is now gonna move to the top, yeah.
Out of all the bridges that were no good to begin with.
Right, this is
the worst.
This was the best of the no good bridges, and now it's become the worst because you have to pay repair. But once we get this street work out, we'll go out there with Barry and the guys. We'll take, see if there's anything we can do to whip it through for a little bit here, and you know, keep things moving.
Back to a bridge, people have been asking about Rock Hollow, which I just say, it's on the project list, we're working on it.
And 15 ton is as low as we really wanna go. We can't get school buses over anything less, so.
Yeah. That, to what Ryan, that was kind of my next thought too, is, you know, after you knock it down any lower than 15 ton, there's no longer a school bus that's gonna go across that, which is not good as well, so.
Carol, you see your hand.
Yeah, only because you mentioned Bard Road. There's no more stop sign at the end of Bard Road. There is a yield sign.
That had, well, actually, so when we paid that, that has always been a yield sign, believe it or
Well,
not.
it was a yield to go to the right. But it was never just a yield sign. It was a stop sign and a yield sign.
That, I don't know. That was before
The
my
stop
time.
sign was not there when we were there.
Yeah. As
We can
far
take it
as
out.
I've been here, it was always a yield sign.
Yeah, because I had somebody just roll through it on me the other day, and it was like,
That doesn't mean they read Harold, or they even paid attention to the sign.
well, like I said, but there was, if you remember, there was a line there.
Yeah.
And the yield sign was to the right.
Yeah.
But
But I don't think there was nothing to the other direction, well, that I recall, because you'd have no reason to kind of use that leg, but yeah, we'll take a look at it. I understand your point.
Alright. And for E, repairs were made to Gibraltar Park for the water and the well system. Over the winter, we had reason to believe that there was a break-in, there were several pipes broke. UV light was broke, basically the cap that was on top of the UV light was also taken off.
That was a new light too, right? Newer.
It was a newer light, everything was kind of newer. The lock going into the, basically, water room, as I would call it, that was ground off. So we redid everything that we saw that needed to be fixed. Since then, the new UV light came in, I installed it, turned the water back on, and I had Old Faithful inside of the water room. Out of the UV.
More pipes?
No, out of the UV light. So I have reason to believe that the UV light is further damaged than I had originally thought. So we are looking into that to see what
the heck it is and what to do.
Yeah, exactly, so that's where where we stand with that, so
Okay. Anything else?
that's it.
I think we ought to have something down there, like just internet access and just cameras.
There are cameras there. Since then, we had also installed I had gotten 4 lights, we had yet to put up the 4th one, but we installed 3 new ones.
Those cameras though are not on the system with ATS.
That, I have no.
They're not.
I don't.
They're not. They were installed separately, and,
Okay.
and I think we should seriously consider getting a quote from ATS to put cameras in there on their system wirelessly connect them up so everything's in one
Yeah,
place,
because
right? As opposed to looking here for this footage, looking here for that footage, I think that's.
I think that quote was given in December of '24, and I think it just exceeded $11,000.
For the park?
Yes, from ATS. I saw that somewhere in the documents.
Is that just the RFP for the whole building?
Yeah, I think that was the RFP.
I think that was one segment of it. I saw another quote, so.
After the break-in, I reached out to Rich and he said they weren't his cameras and he
Yeah,
would be
the current-
willing to quote it.
Yeah, the current, maybe he's gonna requote it, I don't know, the current cameras were not his.
No, yeah, that was very clear. That's where this actually discussion came from.
Yes, I think we should reach out and have them quote it and, give us some prices on putting that on.
in the long run, it's costing us more money for things that happen that we don't need to have happen.
Probably can write that down so we can, Rich can look at that. Put some stuff maybe for Tuesday, if not, that's all right. Anything else, Barry?
Nope, that's all I have.
I had in Park and Rec, see there was a meeting on March 24th. We got the batting cage. It's gonna be installed by volunteers. And I guess on the 7th, there was cleaning.
Thank you to the Boy Scouts. And for the donation.
Right, you see the fact that the March meetings, we just not there yet for the AC, and all the other stuff is whole business.
So it looks like they need a motion to buy that batting cage, is that true or not?
I thought we did that already, guys.
Do you have a motion, Ms. Easter? Do
I guess
you
we
think
do.
you have the
I guess
authority
we
to
do.
order that?
I think so. No.
No, I guess we did.
They're saying request authorization to purchase.
So I'll make a motion that they authorize the purchase in a price not to exceed the $5,500. They requested, I attended that special meeting. And I understand there's been some donations as well.
Okay, so I'll second it.
Roll call, Mrs. Joy,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes,
Yes.
Mr. Gallo,
Yes.
Mr. Bitler.
Yes, the only caveat,
I'll vote yes.
sorry about that, the only caveat is that I mentioned to the board that we might wanna locate it somewhere near where we have access to electric, in case we can get a machine in there to pitching. Can a machine be put in there, pitching?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that would use take electric.
I don't know where the closest outlet would be.
At the concession stand
It's
there.
in the concession stand.
Oh, a small one?
Everywhere.
Okay.
I think there's I would think it would have enough, but we can take a look at that.
Is there anywhere like we wouldn't be able to put it?
Usually.
Where would the cage, well, obviously, but like height wise, length wise, there's pretty much there's a spot there that we know we wanna put it in, but I didn't know.
Don't put it under those lines, those
So
electric
in our-
lines that run up there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you just have to go by wherever your electric is, since they're saying about it, putting in to shoot balls, you're gonna have to find electric, so our biggest thing
You're
is
probably
your
close to
electric
that building
nearby.
we're talking about.
There was one there before.
There was a batting cage here?
Yeah, I think there was something there before.
No. No. There was no machine back in the day, trust us.
All right, anything else before we go to executive session? If not, let's go to executive session at 7:57 for personnel. 7:57.
Not too bad, are you?
Oh, so they're not allowed to issue any permits. I think that's what it's written, so they can't.
I'm sorry, I think that's
I think that's an error.
I will definitely know, we just have to.
Yeah, I bet I know.
Oh, yeah, you see what?
Yeah, so we can put something on the side, yeah.
What's that?
You live in the town?
I think we got that now.
Yeah,
Union or the Robeson?
Right.
Right
across the street from your high school.
Okay, the chapel.
Well, not, I said,
We're off the page, if we're gonna go to the office after that, I just go.
I wish I could have that problem.
The problem is we'll find it no matter where.
Oh, I hear you.
It's usually the third week,
All good.
fourth.
There's,
Registries.
so we had an employee at the island.
Oh, you live.
Keep it on.
I thought it's got home, I was just gonna shop.
I'm on
My phone rings. It's like, here, can you talk to this girl? I don't know who else.
Did you build it?
And it's like the girl at the end.
I get busy.
Trying to find out his own. Sure. You can't.
That's a
Susie just.
Oh.
So yeah, we can try to call comments.
Facilities that they were doing. It was higher than me, but I think it was 1 hour.
How many times has that white step sign passed you 55 miles an hour? See Tyler driving around?
I flashed my lights out the other day. It was like still, it was like not crazy dark, you know what I mean? But we were going out, we were actually going out to boat club. And, I don't know, was anyway, just trucking down Calico and I'm like,
Feel free to do whatever, flag it down.
turn your lights on, bro.
Crazy business.
A couple days ago, he was leaving, I don't know if he was going to school or baseball or whatever. I texted him, I said, I said, turn signals would be nice. His response was, just leave it in the development zone.
Is that what he said?
Won't be funny when I take the heat.
Don't say that when I yank your driver's license.
They last a lot longer. Well, there's no paint that lasts 4 years. Whoever's the paint, I think 4 years is nuts. People ask me, what's your guarantee? What's the weather gonna be like? Weather has a lot to do with that.
I had got guys that were doing, this, driver. There was some people when he was like, but you don't know what's behind it.
Well, once we put it, it's very obvious that this is not. How old is he? Yeah. So. Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, that's the best. I do have 2 5-gallon buckets of paint that if and whatever they're going to do, I'll leave it here. That should last a while. So if they choose to dry the whole building, what I want to do is dry it in that color. And then that kind of can be used for touching up and. So. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Give us a call if you're needing. Absolutely.
easy as possible.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah. If only everything was that easy.
I wish this weather would warm up.
Oh my goodness, and the winter's doing its best to stay here, I think, yeah.
It was like a tease of spring, and then
Isn't that lovely?
cold
Yeah.
rain, all the flowers were blooming.
And the frost comes last night, like, yeah.
I had to think I better, take my hose off of my spigot.
Yeah, you don't want that freezer. How does that react with the bees? Like the warmer and then the cold spell?
Yeah,
Does that affect them?
I have to get in and check them, because it's not, I don't think it's good. Like now you want them out and foraging because the trees are in bloom.
Right.
So, a lot of pollen and they can subsist, if you look at what they need to consume versus what they're bringing in. Like right now they could probably break even, so they'll eat the last of their, I lost a couple hives last year like this and I'm cringing, and it was an abnormally bad year for the winter for some reason. A bunch of articles came out saying they're not sure why, but it should be.
Yeah, because we had a very, very dry spell as well, and I guess that's not going to help with pollen because it needs like moisture to thrive.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, the big nectar flow will hit in like early to late May is that range where they'll make 75% of their spring honey crop in that time.
I watch shows on them and they're just amazing. Like it's like everybody bees at work and stuff. It's like unbelievable.
I couldn't see you back there. Yeah. You were hiding.
Then I thought about it. I try not to. Start smoking from the ears.
Tell me how to laugh about your cars because I never saw that.
Want to race?
I was racing forever. But that's not exactly my favorite mark. That was my years.
Yeah. That, you don't see them anymore. That's why.
Yeah, see, I they were, well, I was in the 60s and 70s, so for me, hey.
All right, we'll come back into regular session at 8:10. And then we'd like to make a motion to adjourn, we'll wait for like 5 seconds and say 8:11.
Make the motion to adjourn. Do you want to make it 8:11? So everybody says yes?
Okay, did you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Need any other signatures for them?
Yes, that's right.
Mr. Secretary.
Paul, these are all yours.
Oh, thank you very much.
I have more at home.
You're in the late for returning them?
Yeah, I brought a bag of them in 2 weeks ago. A huge bag, I put it in the office.
I love the signatures that I always like was. They was everybody here. The person that was the S. You know, and I do mine, whatever, she is.
They were so easy to read.
Yes.
Like, I normally have multiple.
I have never known to say.
And then like everybody was like, oh, that's right, you know. But I,
I never.
I think I told you one time when I just signed something like home.
Thank you very much.
I came back and said, signature on that. So I did meet versions of my signature. And then I put like a thing, use one of these, maybe one of these.
Everything signed?
Yes.
And another thing I do too.
Yep.
And then they'll say.
Hey, where did you say you could get those QuickBooks? Let me know.
Oh, I tried to look and then got distracted. I will.
No, oh, you mean squirrel? No, that, I understand. No, that's
Have a good evening.
Hey, have a nice evening.
Because the options are, you can go there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh.
Here you go, honey. You're very welcome.
Good night. Yeah.
Oh, Scott, no, I think.
Scott, you can sign it?
Scott. Oh, I'm like, there.
I think the other chicks in the other.
Oh, I already know it, but to me, prior history and previous history proves the facts.
Yes, yeah, of the coffee, but I agree.
Hey, Colin, you always leave this here for Joan.
Yeah, I don't need paperwork. I have it in my email.
You don't need the paperwork, huh?
I like everything electronically. I don't like anything printed nowadays.
Okay, there you go. You don't have, there's one whole copy you don't have to make anymore because Colin doesn't want it.
That'll be my journal turned up to the.
You know, it wouldn't matter. That's true though, unfortunately. Here's all these, dear.
Thank you.
Here's another one that got that.
I'll just come in.
You sure? It's freaking cold. No shit. I gotta make a little heated jacket on. Now I need to figure out where the husband is.